Hello everybody. This video assumes that you've already watched the video from North Carolina State University about good literature reviews and what literature review means. It also assumes that you've watched the Zotero tutorials and done the Zotero tutorials. So if you haven't done those things, really stop this video and go do those before you come back to this video. What this video is going to be about is about how to do effective searching. The effective search strategies that we're going to recommend are based on this idea from the North Carolina State tutorial that the literature really looks like a web. So somebody has an idea, a big idea, a major work, and they publish the article. It becomes well known, and other people cite that article and build their work upon the ideas and findings from that original source. And those new ideas often lead to other new ideas and other major works that become foundations in and of themselves. And it's all a web. And this is why citing literature and why we have APA references and why all of that is so tightly defined. And it's because the existence of citations allows people to move backwards and forwards through the literature by following the citations. And so the strategies we're going to recommend have to do with tracing citations, going backwards and also going forward. So the going forward is probably going to be a new idea for you. Right, a couple things come up from this idea that really point to a couple misconceptions we want to dispel. The first one is that newer is always better. In fact, we constantly hear students saying that professors tell them they only want articles within the last 5 years. Well, that might be an appropriate recommendation if what you're trying to do is just find out what people are currently saying is best practice. But it isn't a good strategy when you're doing a literature review where the idea is to have a good overall understanding of your topic. Let's pretend for a second that this picture here represents these two gray boxes being articles written in the last 5 years. But they're built on a major work that came from 1990. And really, if you don't know the original work, you're really going to have an incomplete understanding of the newer literature as well. So newer isn't always better, and in fact, these foundational articles are the most important ones that you really want to have in your literature review. So newer isn't always better. The second misconception is that you search, or the literature looks like a stack. It's just a list of books, it's just a list of articles, and so we present them one by one, we look them up one by one in a list fashion. Both of those ideas are wrong. It's not a list, it's a web. And so we're going to use one article to find another and this article to find another. All right? These two concepts relate to part of the way that we're going to evaluate your literature review, and specifically these two rows, which were adapted from Boot and Beal. The first row talks about thoroughness of literature citation. Well, there's no way you can thoroughly review the citations in your topic unless you do this tracing, going from one article to another to find out who is saying which articles are important. So that's what we really mean here where we say demonstrates good tracing of citation and selection of most relevant literature. So going back to this picture here, good tracing means you took this article and you found this article, and you used this article and you found this article. And most relevant literature means you're figuring out what these major works are and which are the important studies that came from them. The second row here is that you synthesize the literature. So in your literature review, you're not going to want to say the first article is this, and the second article is this, and the third article is this, and just report on everything you find. You don't want to write a paragraph for each article. Instead, you want to find the themes, which often mirror the themes in the way the literature developed, but not always. But you want to find themes and then organize your literature by themes when you do the writing process. All right, so this means that we're going to really recommend 3 strategies for how you do effective searching. The first is to find some of these foundational articles, the big red ones here, that others built on, and use Google Scholar to trace forward. I'll explain that in a second. And the second and third one is to find more current articles that have extensive list of citations and use the reference lists in those articles to trace backwards in time. Now, there is such, even though we're going to be talking about doing all this tracing and using the references and citations, it doesn't mean that you never do search by topic. You almost always are going to start your search for a topic by using a keyword in a tool like EBSCOhost or Google Scholar. So you're going to start, as if your topic is co-teaching, you're just going to do a search for co-teaching. You've got to start somewhere. And the goal is start somewhere, find something good, and then start tracing from there.